Right, okay, so this is literally your break time. Yeah. Well, thank you for giving me your break time. So I won't spend loads of time introducing myself. You can read the little snippet there. The main reason I'm here, it's because after my 15 years, I've been leading a lot of teams. And I've started to notice a lot of red threads throughout my career as a leader. And I started doing this kind of career seminar internally. And therefore, we thought it was an opportunity. How about I do that, but externally, offering it to you guys. So this is some of the things I've been doing within the company for many years to help people navigate their own career. So first I want to do is that when you think about a successful career, all of you get some kind of image in your mind. Might be a person, might be a thing, might be a story, something pops up to your mind. You don't have to tell me, but I really want you to notice, what is it? Don't judge it, just think about what is it that actually comes to mind when you think about a successful career. Okay, this might not have been the image that you're getting, but very often one of the ideas we get is some kind of ladder, moving up, right? If that is title or prestige or salary or living standard in general, like, I get up somewhere, like that's success, how it looks like. I see some nodding at least. I think that's very common, and it's also true. It is sometimes how exactly a career looked like. You start in a junior accounting position, and then you become an accountant and a manager accountant, or I don't actually know the titles. But you can have some careers are very distinct ladders. My experience internally, and now I'm also working as a consultant towards many companies, I see it across the board, that is very far away from reality. My view of reality, this is more the truth. And that's not just because it's a career, it's a life as well. Things happen. Anything that happens in your family as well as happening with you can impact how your journey takes. The hard part with this is, as any funfair ride, when you start it, you don't know how it's going to end. And you have that kind of like uncertainty, nervousness. In a funfair ride, it's kind of, at least you're going to end up safe, and you kind of know you're going to end up in the end, and you can go and get a drink. But I would argue this is pretty much how a career can look like too. You don't even know which ride you're on. So after 20, 30 years, I have the luxury of being on this ride, looking back, and I can see what ride I've been on. But when you're in it, you don't really know. And you can sometimes be exactly on this little bend, and it feels so frustrating, and it's not taking anywhere, and it's just so hard, and it's just like I can't see where this is going, and it's consuming your energy. And then suddenly, whoosh, there's a bend and there's a swoop. And then you realize, oh, that's why I was going up there. I was climbing up a hill that then gave me this journey. So this is to illustrate that it isn't easy, actually, to foresee the pathway your career is on. Sometimes it could be, but most often it isn't. And that's why I'm not going to give you one solution here, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a step-by-step process to figure out what can a successful career look like to you. Okay, the first thing you have to do is question our assumptions. So now you can think about that image you got in the beginning of what a successful career look like. Where does that image come from? Is it school? Is it your teachers? Is it your parents? Is it your friends? Is it movies? We get all of these. Like, who has watched the TV series Suits? Right? Like, you're walking around and you're all powerful in your pursuit, and like this is like, oh, that is what success looks like. And to someone, it might be exactly the journey you should be on. But you need to make sure that you at least know where your imagery comes from. You can still choose to have that as your target, your goal. But if you just accept it as yours without knowing where it's coming from, there's always a little bit of danger there. You need to be aware that you're looking into the world kind of with a filter on and thinking that that looks great, so therefore I will be happy when I get there. Might or might not be true. So here comes the hard part. We kind of need to spend some effort in figuring ourselves out. And most of us do that over a lifetime because you kind of have to. If you're early in your career, this might not yet be obvious because you haven't been in a lot of situations, but you kind of need to figure out what gives you energy, what takes energy, And there's some elements of this you probably have already noticed, like if you've spent a week or just a day even, and you come home and you're thrilled, you're so excited. Pay attention to what was it during this day that made it so exciting? Was it because it was a really tricky problem that you solved? Was it because you had so much fun while you were working hard? Was it because you got to wear a suit? I mean, it could be all these kind of things, no judgment. Equally, if you're exhausted or something has been really hard. Doesn't mean it's wrong, but pay attention. Why did that consume so much of my energy? Why am I now really low? Well, there might be some ingredients there that at least you can learn from. There's plenty of models you can use here to continue this investigation. I will mention 2, but on my last slide, I will sort of also have the links there, so you can take a photo and search for it later rather. One is the theory about motivation. And it's the counter theory of what we sometimes think is obvious. That I'm motivated by money and salary and titles, which is true. We kind of need them. But when you look at what actually gives people the drive, it's purpose, mastery, which means feeling that you're good at something, and autonomy, given some freedom, some space to do it. So that is really interesting work, and I'm going to give you a link to a video that explains this super well. The other thing is Ikigai. Who has heard about Ikigai? I see some nods. Yeah, okay. So this, you probably have heard of it. Maybe you haven't spent so much time thinking about it, what it means for you. I think this is a fantastic way of exploring yourself. Because you might or might not know already what you love, what you're good at, what you can pay for. You can ask the companies downstairs, or what the world needs. So these are the 4 categories that you kind of play with a little bit. I'm still on my own journey here. And I spent my early career here, somewhere sort of a profession. I was very good at it and I got paid for it. But 2-3 years in, I started noticing that I still do like what I do. There's no issue here. But I'm kind of like spending a lot of my time out of work doing something that I love. And I think that may be fine. Like I can keep that as my hobby. That's all good. Then I went to a career fair and I met a company that they like, well, what you're doing over here, we would like to hire you for it. And I was like, really? Like I can actually have that as a job? I bet in. So now I got a little bit closer, so I'm good at it. I get paid for it, I love it. I'm in education, so I'm kind of lucky in the sphere. But this is sort of where I'm still navigating around here. And now I changed my job. So now I love it, I get paid for it, but to be honest, I'm not that good at it yet. Because I had to adventure out to something I've never done before. But that's a time and effort kind of thing. But so it's not static. But it's a wonderful way of figuring out where you are and how you feel. And I think there's nothing wrong with this. It's also needed. And maybe it's also suddenly you build a family. Well, then you get other complementary life things. So this is not just a career model, it's a life model. But I do believe that it's hard to find true happiness focusing on only one thing. I think finding elements of all really can give you that energy and happiness. And that very often drives success. Because if you hit this, you have the passion and everything, you will put a little bit extra in the job. You will show off fantastic talents. It very often combines. If you're doing something you're really, what they call it, you're being in the zone or something, it will be noticed. Okay, we don't have time here because this is like a snippet seminar, but this is my encouragement for you to investigate this. So now we're going to get a little bit more interactive because I want to consider, right, how do I, once I figure this out, figure out who's right for me? Because if I go on all these company websites, they're going to look fabulous. Great companies, great brands, career websites that tells me all their story, but what's underneath the surface? If I figured out that there's certain things that I need to be very good at what I do, how do I find out if they're giving it to me? If this environment will be right for me? And that's about investigating others. So that's figuring out if I, for example, realize it's very important to me that I can move between different divisions within a company. I'm a very technically minded now, but I would love to be able to not be boxed in as someone that has only studied engineering, and therefore I want them to have an open mind for me to evolve through my career. If that is important to me, I need to figure out which companies actually also like that kind of thing. So you are now gonna be tasked to just talk to the person next to you, or the three together, that's fine. Brainstorm super briefly, just a couple of ideas. What question could you ask someone downstairs that gives you a little bit more of the juice in the fruit? What's behind the scenes? And oh, this is a different slide deck. I have a Mentimeter, but the QR code is gone. So I will turn on a slide for somewhere where you can go and actually add these questions to. But for now, just have a chat amongst yourselves. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so I'm just, it's more because I think we put them in different folders for different days, and I edited the other one. But I did this before, I literally just plugged it in. I'm just going to wait until they've had a couple of conversations before I do it. Thank you. Thank you. If you have a phone, you can go to menti.com and put that code in, and you can actually continue to add to this. So this is from yesterday's idea. So if you have a couple of ideas now, you can actually add it to the presentation and get a good sharing. And if you don't have the phone, you can tell me out loud instead if you had a good question. What question did you have, Veronica?
Actually, a very nice point that we discussed together. And one of the points that, I don't know your name, she raised is how people in the company perceive you as a team leader. Like if you work individually, how your success is perceived versus how you contribute to the team.
If you are the team leader?
No,
if you're not, in general.
So, yes,
so
success as an individual perceived versus success as a team. Are you blended in the team, like when you're successful,
right,
or how is it valued by the company?
Right. Fantastic. And I understand sometimes you have to actually explain your question, which is fine. Particularly these guys, they're here only to talk to you, so you will have time to explain what you're trying to get to. And I think that's fantastic. So in many ways, what you're looking for is, I guess, how much the company values collaboration.
Correct.
Yeah, so if you don't value collaboration, every target will be individual. If you value collaboration, you will find ways of measuring or at least encouraging, helping others and these things. Yeah, that's a great one to figure out. And that will never be on a website.
Yeah.
That you have to find out by talking to people. It's the only way. Yeah. I see you're otherwise typing. You guys don't have your phones. So what kind of ideas did you have? You can share it as well. It's okay.
It's more of like asking like whether there is a work-life balance. Because that's what we value.
So just be ready. There will be a follow-up. What is then important to you with regards to work-life balance?
Like having time off with like family. Yeah.
So meaning in some ways, when someone takes time off, is that time off respected? Meaning I take time off, I don't check my emails, like do you go off? I think that's a fantastic question, because that is a really big sign of a company culture. If you go off and you still get emails and you know that. But I'm wondering, do you also think about kind of remote working and flexible working? Yeah? So see, it's good to be ready, like what is really, that's why you have to do the work yourself, because you need to also be able to assess their answer. So if you figure out what's important to you with regards to work-life balance, then you're gonna both be able to ask the question, but also when they answer, you can ask follow-up question about the one thing that matters to you. And that's great. And then you're also going to get the real story. Because maybe HR says, oh, yes, no, we always respect holidays here. But then you hear it from the guys. They're like, no, I always check my emails on holiday. So this, you get the dirty laundry as well, which is super important. Because we all have it. No company is perfect. So you only find out, they might have other things that are great. And you're like, I actually value that more. In my first couple of years of a career, I don't mind having that kind of part of this, but if you mind, then you know, and then you don't work there. Are we getting some there? Is someone else that wants to add a question verbally rather than writing it? Yeah?
Like me, probably a bit personal because I'm still active in sports. So does the company is okay with me being away probably like a week, but I can do like probably online or I mean for me it's important.
Yeah. And maybe even a deal breaker. Yeah. So there's no, and I think that's a great thing. Do your company value having someone that chooses to continue a professional streak? Can we make this work? Fantastic. And I actually know there's a story about that from one of the, I don't remember which one it is though, so you have to figure it out. But I do believe that you're not the only one trying to figure this out. And we all know maybe you're caring for someone in the family. I mean, there's all of these things as well that could be very personal. And it's very important for you to find out that that actually is allowed. What else would you get? When someone leaves the company, what do you look back on to determine whether they were successful hire? Oh, wow, that's a next level question. I can argue that for some by the booth, that might be a tricky one to answer. But if you get a really senior leader, I think they should be able to answer that. The company plays on training. Okay, fantastic question. So this will always be personal. Sorry. If you want to take a photo about that, once I get it back up, then you can have that so you can get inspiration for questions. 5 minutes, okay? And I probably can run over a little bit, right? Because So the trick is, think about what matters to you. Figure out how to ask questions so you find out the information you need. And it might not just be one person that does it, right? It's a randomized sample downstairs. So maybe you'll have to ask more than one. But that is what it is. You have to start somewhere and then you combine that with some kind of gut feel. There's not a perfect science on this. And then you might end somewhere and you kind of need to figure it out from there. But I have good news for you guys. Very good news. And that is, let's see if this one, plug and play. Yes. They're here to talk to you. This is sometimes forgotten. You feel like, ooh, like I need to come and I need to be ready. No, they want to talk to you. That's why they're here. That's actually the only reason they're here. So you can go up there quite comfortably saying, hey, tell me about Scania. Tell me about whatever. What's your story? How long have you been here? Why did you join? Oh, you've been here for 20 years. Why did you stay? Like, they will be loving to talk about that with you. And they're not looking for perfect. They're looking for potential. And you have it. You do have it. So you're someone they actually want to talk to. So you can remember that. And I think the second thing to remember is that you're humans. And you are not alone. Because you're not robots. Introvert, extrovert, it doesn't really matter. You okay? And I think this I show just to make sure you give yourself, cut yourself some slack. Right? I understand. You walk up and there's like 6 people in t-shirts and they all stand up the minute you're like, it is kind of intimidating and I get it. But I also can tell you that might never go away. In your first job, your second job, and then you change to another job, like you will be talking to strangers for the rest of your life. So if you don't like it, you might never like it. You just need to find coping mechanisms and figure out how to do it. And this is where my trick with questions are. Because if you have a battery of questions, you're ready. And if they're kind of neutral questions, you always will be ready. So that is a great way of, if you don't like it, at least always be ready with a standard question. Hey, how was your day? Seriously, it doesn't have to always be more complicated than that. Because unfortunately, no pain, no gain. And I think that includes learning floorball, right? You start somewhere and it's annoying because everyone else seems to be much better than you, and you have to get over that, and then you might still be this lady, like it's fine. It is the same thing with anything else that you want to pursue. You have to put the effort in. It isn't just a straight line from deciding to getting, and that doesn't end. I'm doing a new job right now that I've never done before. I'm definitely that lady, or maybe even worse. But when I left London to move to Singapore, I didn't look that late, right? But I was nailing it. I was so comfortable. I knew what I was doing. It was fantastic. And then I'm back again, learning something new. So it kind of never ends. So this is my final bit. It's more of a kind of a what's next thing. It is to engage with people today, which is a fantastic opportunity. These guys don't have these kind of open doors on a regular day basis, so it's a great opportunity. It is to investigate yourself and decide how you investigate others. So if you want to take a photo, there's no link, but this is how this is one of my favorite animation of that concept of purpose, mastery, and autonomy. And Ikigai, there's so many different tools and books and videos about it if you want to pursue that a little bit more. And we do have time for some questions, if there is any. What? Yeah?
I can start the ball rolling. So, what advice would you give to fresh grads? How do you take our first step into, achieving that?
Oh, well, I guess in some ways, beyond what I've just said, trying to think about something that I didn't include in the. I mean, I guess the combination of understanding that it's okay that it's hard. And I think that sometimes I see fresh graduates are under the illusion that now I'm graduating, so now I'm adult and I'm just going to go ahead and success will come. Like, it's okay that this is confusing or awkward or worrying. It is okay. But I also would say, which is a terrible advice because it doesn't always help, but we kind of all went through it. And you will land okay on the other side. You might not like the first job you get, but you can deal with that. But most people land okay on the other side. And so that would be my additional advice to this. Yeah?
How was it like moving out of Sweden to work abroad?
Oh. So I moved abroad when I was about 30 something. So I had already started my career, which was a little bit of a luxury. So I felt quite comfortable already with the whole working identity. I would say the hardest part was actually rather the social side. Like, you realize how much your friends and your family is your support network when you move out. And you kind of are a little bit more, you need to build it in a different way. So that's why I think it's a fantastic opportunity for anyone to go abroad, even if it's just short. Because you do learn a lot about yourself in how you need to find that energy within yourself, because you don't have the comfort around you. And you need to also accept that you're going to be stupid because you do things wrong, like you don't get it, like you get lost, you might accidentally be rude to people because you didn't know what you were doing, and it's a language barrier, and so you put yourself in an exposed situation in many ways, and I think you grow a lot from that. But don't get me wrong, I still miss my family, but I guess I choose the adventure. And I feel I get 1,000 in return with regards to my life.
One last question for you. What would you say to someone who works in the same company and retires there? So if you don't even think of like looking for a different job, is that something that you think is okay? Like you maintain the same job until you retire?
So what I would say, so what I would say to my team, myself, long or short, I would say, and to be fair, I actually think about this when it comes to relationship as well. As long as you take active choices throughout, and that is probably my own belief about what happiness means. I think if you feel like you're in control, and then you choose to stay, I would say congratulations. Because if you found somewhere, I've been 15 years with the same company. I've left twice and returned. So the first time I did that, I was actually a little bit like, oh, am I that scared? Like, can't I go elsewhere? Like, am I seeking comfort that way? So I went through some of this. Does this mean I'm not that successful because I can't get a job elsewhere? And then I went back, and then I realized why I went back, and then I had to ignore what other people might. Back up to the whole kind of filtering. I had to ignore that other people might see this as a less successful career. So I had to do the work. Or in some ways deciding that this is what I want and I choose it. So I think, and for some, if I'm honest, my sisters, 3 kids, so much else going on, they choose to stay in one company because they look at their life holistically. So I judge no one. As long as I feel people have reflected on it and hopefully made some choices, and then I think we are all in a very good place if we have been allowed to do that. That would be mine. And a lot of people down there, actually, in these Swedish companies, they didn't think that they would stay, and they've stayed like
30 years.
Yeah. So and they're more than happy, right? So, and they might have changed jobs between that within the company, but I think there's absolutely nothing wrong if you find somewhere that nurtures you. Take the ticket. It's a fantastic ticket to be on.
Well, you said it's a marriage.
Yeah. But even after you're married, that's why you have to have date nights.
Yeah,
like you need to kind of like choose your partner multiple times through your life. Thank you so much. My main purpose, I hope you feel empowered to enjoy the rest of your day with a new mindset potentially. That was my hope. And thank you very much for giving me your break time. Great, thank you.